Alright guys, TacticalRab here, and today I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. We are now not too long away from Modern Warfare 2's launch, and there's many questions about the balance of the weapons in the game. A lot of the SMG players want the SMGs to be rather buffed. Some say the ARs are way too overpowered, but Slasher, with some rather good SMGs on his team, seems to echo the former. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to discuss today. Thought this is pretty funny from methods in light of what was going on last night. First of all, wanted to mention the Phizzurp Memorial, which went down last night. I believe it was either a $5,000 or a $7,000 tournament. So, of course, I believe it was 6 years ago yesterday where Phizzurp passed away. And every year there's a memorial tournament usually held in honor of kind of, well, what a fantastic member of the scene that he was when he was around, even as a subline I say here, smokes out for the GOAT 6 years later. Right, so yes, rest in peace, Phizzurp, most certainly. Now, the tournament went down last night. These were the notable teams: Major Maniac, Vickle, Bracken, Real. Interesting team actually that ended up winning the entire tournament. We'll see here in a second. Just because of, well, it's 3 out of the 4 of the Florida Mutineers core. And I'm thinking this was probably a search and destroy tournament. It probably would have been if it's a FaZe Memorial, which is interesting just because that Florida Mutineers team going into next year definitely doesn't have that much credit being given to them right now. But in terms of search and destroy prowess, they should be right up there, right? The other teams, Drazah, Yeez, Prolute, and Spart, and obviously Doug's team as well. The Boston Breach Academy. Temp was playing with these guys. Assault, Team Wardy, Team Aiden actually was playing as well. So there were plenty of teams getting involved. This was one of the teams, actually, Drazah's squad with Spart, Prolute, and Yeez. Interesting to see Yeez here, actually, because he, of course, was the Florida Mutineers substitute last season. Never really got a shot in the starting team. And it was kind of similar thing for Pentagram, for example, over at the Los Angeles Thieves. Players that are solid, most certainly, but didn't really prove themselves that much in the challenger side last year to really get put into the starting lineup. So I wonder where Yeez will end up. Could he potentially go to, LA Guerrillas? They need a bench player. All the teams right now have to be keeping their eyes on what exactly is their bench going to look like, because they've got to sign a substitute player at some point, and very few teams have someone lined up. Yes, certain teams can just sign their coach, but a lot of teams will want to do largely more than that, and whether they'll get a player locked down already or whether they'll wait until the start of the season, because of course we talked about Gunners and all these possibilities about what OpTic might end up doing, because they probably need a good substitute on their roster just in case anything happens again. Teams like LAG will also have to consider their options there, and we leave the Prolute, of course. He would have been a great sub, I think, for many teams, but he's probably going to be joining the Vegas Legion on their starting roster. Now, of course, Doug was playing in this one also last night with what is going to be the Boston Breach Academy, with Beans now in that roster as well. They ended up losing at this point in the tourney to Rafi Kreza and co, who, well, those are European players from the UK largely. So I guess the ping situation here maybe wasn't all that ideal for a lot of these players, but cool to see so many getting involved. And that turned out to be the grand final, was actually Rafi Kreza, Grand, and Furious playing up against Major Maniac, Brack, Real, and Vickle. So Real, of course, Spanish player, largely, well, highly rated after last season. Going into the new season, he's on the Rokkr Academy, or the Rokkr bench at least, going into the new year alongside Fame. So it's interesting the project the Rokkr are building over there, because they've got Bance, of course, they've got Afro as their 2 SMGs, but if there was a world where they might need to make some sort of changes, Real and Fame are going to be there on the bench. So they're kind of hoarding a lot of good SMG talent, Rokkr. I think that's a wise thing to do, because SMG talent is rather hard to come by. But in the end, it's Major Maniac and co that win the entire tournament. $6,720 apparently they won between them. So congratulations to all involved, and great to see these guys getting the job done. But it is interesting with regard to the Florida Mutineers squad for next season, because this is their team minus Real plus Havoc, right? So I mean, look, on paper, the team doesn't really stand out to be anything crazy. Of course, this was on Vanguard, right? This tournament was played on. It's not played on the new game, so you don't really know how good these players are going to be. Vickle, of course, very highly rated player from last season on the Ultra Academy NA. Brack has been around several years and is now finally getting his shot back. But you well know that every team that has Major Maniac on will be a threat in search and destroy, pretty much regardless of the rest of the team, especially when they've got other good SnD players, the likes of Havoc, on the team as well. So this does go to show that, like, yes, on paper, Mutineers going into next season don't really seem like they're going to be a powerhouse, certainly in the respawns, but I really think Game 5 upset potential for Florida Mutineers is really on the cards. And Mutineers are a weird team the last couple of seasons, where they could kind of beat anyone, but on their day just pretty much lose to anyone, right? I feel like Mutineers are going to be a little bit more consistent going forwards with their new lineup, but they're still going to have that capability to maybe take the Game 5 wins off big teams at big events because of what these guys are capable of, right? And of course, this is good evidence of exactly that going on right here. So whether Vickle, Havoc, and Brack will work alongside Maniac, we will see, but definitely a good sign if you're a Mutineers fan. And even as Rail says, can't wait wait to start the season, right? So, of course, he's going to be grinding through the challenger side, I guess, yet again, if Rokkr actually put together another academy roster. But also, it's important for him to potentially get his spot on a starting team at some point or another. And I imagine he's probably trying to improve his English as quickly as he possibly can. Doug said early part of last season that he really rated this guy as well. So that's pretty exciting for Spanish Call of Duty, potentially back on the menu. And Vickle as well, also a player with Spanish heritage. He was sitting down with Lander a few days ago, actually doing a bit of a discussion on the process of joining Florida and this type of stuff. So cool to see new guys getting their spot in the league. But it is also pretty interesting that some big name players seem to be missing out right now. But it's cool to see some new guys getting the opportunity. But it is quite clear that Scrappy on the Toronto Ultra should be going into the new season the #1 prospect kind of challenger player that is expected to be the rookie of the year. So we'll see if any of these other guys can deliver the goods on that. I guess Brack is technically a CDL rookie, despite playing in the league on a very high level indeed back in Black Ops 4 several years ago now, during the 2018-2019 season. So I guess we'll see how it goes. Now, of course, we mentioned Prolude, right, in the fact that Clayster, that is likely going to be his teammate. I did even see a tourney they were playing in Modern Warfare 2. It wasn't really a tourney, I don't think, but they were just playing some like chals on Modern Warfare 2 when they go as a 6-man team. They load up into a lobby, and I believe the team that Clayster was playing with, I think it's on Temp's YouTube channel actually, and it said the title is something like Rumored Vegas Roster plus Scrappy and Zuma plays a Modern Warfare 2 challenge. Like, they're not even trying to hide it at this point, that Clay, Temp, Prolute and TJ were playing together with, I think, Zuma and Scrappy alongside them, right? So it's really no secret that is going to be the roster. But of course, those players on paper, especially Prolute and TJ as the SMG, is far from an ideal SMG duo on paper. Like, those guys, I guess TJ has historically been an SMG player. Prolute probably has as well, but in the last couple of seasons, they've been flexes more often than not, especially when you look at a team like Minnesota Rokkr, hoarding, you could argue, a lot of the SMG talent. Vegas are somewhat lacking right in that department. So that's really the question going into the new season. Is it going to be an AR or an SMG game? We generally see it every single year where one weapon kind of proliferates and dominates, and certain players, like let's say you're an AR player and the ARs are very good that particular year, then you are the player expected to go off and dominate, and it's the players with the SMGs, even if the SMGs aren't that good, that can really make the big impact. Now, SMGs are generally going to be more important than ARs to make the space and the like, but you know, still, it's always interesting to keep an eye on what the pros think in terms of the balancing of the weapons going into the new game, because the pros end up using the best thing regardless, the auto, the MP40, as it was here, of course, in Call of Duty Vanguard. And yeah, a lot of people would argue the auto was really the dominant weapon in that game, just because the MP40, despite being good, it had bloom and some other things that didn't make it so ideal for long-range engagements, and that's why SMGs in general struggled a bit more in Vanguard than they have done in previous games. Let's say Cold War, where probably the 74U was the dominant weapon after the XM4 got gentleman's agreemented. Now, this, as Shotzzy is pointing out right here, because obviously Shotzzy, great SMG player, this I thought was kind of remarkable just with regard to Modern Warfare 2, because they're getting rid of nameplates, of course, from the game, and this could be a good thing just from this element, where the nameplates were incredibly broken in Vanguard. I think we've seen this in some previous games. You guys might even remember all the way back in Black Ops 2 on Raid, you could go into the top pool house building and plant the bomb over at the B site, and then you could look through the curtain, and like and basically if you were looking at the bomb and the guy was defusing it, you'd see his nameplate pop up, and then you could just shoot straight through the curtain and kill him. So there were some, you know, suboptimal things where nameplates get abused in ways like that. But Bakaj especially was just ridiculous for this. Like, as Shotzzy's showing him right here, or Shotzzy's showing everyone right here, this was on Bakaj Search and Destroy, where if you were just laying down in this building and looked through the floorboards here, you could see if anyone was planting over at the B bomb site. So like, it's pretty absurd. He actually says here they didn't really use this in an actual match just because like they didn't really like to play Bakaj or something towards the end of the year. But yeah, still interesting, right, that this was potentially a tool in the arsenal for, you know, it's not cheating, right, it's just exploiting a glitch or an exploit or whatever. But this is where nameplates can prove to be an issue, and like, I'm sure Infinity Ward haven't exactly seen this and thought, okay, we'll get rid of them, but it is a common issue in recent games where for some reason, I don't know how the maps are so badly designed, because this really didn't used to be an issue, but in Vanguard it was all over the shop, especially here on Bakaj, and therefore many want this to be gone, and maybe that is one of the benefits of not having nameplates going forwards. Wanted to show a couple of minutes then here from the flank, because they were discussing the kind of weapon balancing in Modern Warfare 2, and well, some were saying, Ben even was saying that the MP5, like, that seems to be the dominant weapon, he was mapping people with it, but others say the ARs are way too strong, and they're the overpowered guns in this game, which is probably more what I saw, but I did in fairness see some great clips with the MP5 as well.
I was playing a lot with the MP5 and that thing beamed. I feel like if this meta carries on to game release, like, it's
Ben,
gonna be...
you were getting worked on, Ben. Bad, Ben. Bro, you were raging for 2 hours, Ben, when I played. You were raging for 2 hours.
Listen. You were not watching me play Hardpoint on the weekend. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. What you got in your
My
own
bad,
skill
bro.
base?
My bad. Take it easy, Ben. My bad.
The
Mod
on
on.
stream if you want to take a peek, but
That MP5 ACOG was hitting.
yeah, bro, get the out of here.
It was the Ben J. Nassim lobbies.
Listen, I'm just using the MP5 iron sights, and that thing's beaming cross map. So I feel like
Yeah, it is really good.
I feel like it's a pretty sub-heavy meta. So this team will be interesting in that. Don can definitely run a sub, but this squad might need some upgrades on the SMG front to be a real contender. But it's an interesting decision they've gotten down to not really go for any real young challengers players and bring Clay in as Don as sort of the, like, I guess sort of the backbone emotionally of this team.
Yo, you know skill-based matchmaking is crazy. Ben is beaming across map with the MP5.
Skill-based matchmaking is crazy if you think this is a sub meta, because besides like farm,
Yeah.
have you used the
ARs
Scar,
are
the
insane.
M4?
The M4 is
God
unreal.
damn.
Unreal.
The Scar is great, but I'm telling you,
Bro, if
the MP5
we
beats,
have
bro.
we have to play with smokes, otherwise SMGs stand no chance. You just get
take better
blown
routes.
away, dude.
No, I mean, with slide canceling gone, ARs are blessed.
ARs are blessed, bro. Not only that, you get the bunny hop with the AR. The bunny hop with the AR is OP.
Yeah, you see Austin? You say, yeah, we need to buff the subs. They were definitely too weak.
Austin's all in there. I love it.
He's leaning into that.
And as you guys can see here, Slasher in the chat, if you guys have kind of missed it in the video clip, where he says, yeah, we need to buff the subs. This is kind of funny, really, the way that Slasher's kind of come full circle. Probably a year or two ago, he'd have been fully in favor of getting the ARs to be buffed so it can benefit him. But of course, this is an insight into how he knows, right, that going into Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, that he's not the dominant force on the team, right? It's Simp and aBeZy, really the SMG duo, the Tiny Terrors, that he wants to be as strong as possible. So he's saying, look, buff the subs, get them a little bit better. And that's what we need to do for the game. So I didn't really get a chance to play the beta. Definitely intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below what you would do. And also there's been some talk also about, okay, do we need to use the best weapons? I know that the pros will always gravitate towards the best guns, but there has been a talking point, okay, look, the time to kill is very fast in this game. What if the pros GAs certain weapons and just use guns that were pretty balanced, right? Because, okay, the subs might be worse, but if you were to, let's say, gentleman's agreement, the best ARs that kill the quickest, use, let's say, the fourth best AR and the second best SMG, then, you know, you can actually balance the weapons artificially. Now, look, the pros aren't going to do that. They're going to use the best stuff. That's just how it is. But that would maybe alleviate to some degree the time to kill issue we also have in the game as it stands. So, look, will they do anything about this Infinity Ward if the subs are too weak? Probably not, because it's another thing that kind of goes into their philosophy of benefiting the players that, you know, sit back and relax, let's say, the players that run around with the MP5s and the SMGs and such. It seems like Infinity Ward doesn't want these players to have a particularly good time. So that may affect, of course, players like Simp and aBeZy when they get to the game. And who knows if aBeZy's going to like this game just like he didn't like Vanguard. And of course, that didn't work out too well for the entirety of the FaZe camp. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Just wanted to shout out real quick another cool JP Krez video right here that he put up just last night, I believe. And yeah, some bops of the season here from CDL Pal as well to finish out the video. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button, tells the YouTube gods this is a good video, and I was like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. I think as always, take care, and I'll see you next time.